afternoon, all. Welcome to this session, Adopting Solar Energy for Better Community Impacts and Pathway. So we have an eminent speaker, Mr. Jamal, Mr. Rakesh, and Mr. Kaviraj. So, yeah, good to go? Shall we start? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Yeah, we must have a good energy and have a round of applause for our speakers. So no renewable energy is playing a no major role in rural development. In though like we have a no different understanding about the energy. No, like in personalism, we use a mobile, we need a battery, like we need a lighting. So here we are talking about no rural context, more like impact of energy. I will start with Mr. Jamal. You can start with your how you was working in rural space and energy, and also you can talk about your initiatives for rural development.
Okay, thank you, Rupesh, and thank you all for attending this session. It's just before lunch. We are mindful of that, so we'll try to wrap up on time. Thank you, Rupesh, for introducing the subject. And I'm from Schneider Electric. So basically, I would say to define our role very shortly, I would say it is something more of a technology partner and a knowledge partner. So we do have a lot of solutions within the mainstream of the electrical business and electronics, in energy automation and energy efficiency. So we draw a lot of those experiences and those skills and knowledge of the team, and we have a very specific set of products which are meant for the access to energy or the rural markets that you talked about. So we are very active in, I would say, 3 thematic areas. That is mainly around healthcare, education, and livelihoods. This is what we are mainly focusing on. I would probably go into more details on this as we move along, but I think the time has come for us to really leverage technology. I think a few years ago, many things like this were not possible, but today things have changed. Not only the equipment around the solar itself, but it has also extended into the way we monitor the performance of these solutions that we are deploying. You can remotely monitor this. There are many sites we have already executed this on. You can monitor for performance, you can monitor for maintenance, you can monitor to size correctly for future projects. So these are things that are genuinely available in real time. These are not notional or on PPTs or on documents somewhere. So this is something which we feel is changing. But finally, having said all that, none of this technology is really going to mean anything unless you have the people to use them, and more importantly, the people to deploy them, maintain them, operate them, and make sure that it delivers what we have originally started off thinking that it will. So I think that's basically a quick introduction from my side. We'll get into more details.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamalji. I think setting up the context and I will come to Kaviraji and talk about you are into skilling space, so you can just touch upon like introduction and then how the skilling program is going to help in renewable energy as well.
Thank you. I'll talk a little bit about the work we are doing, right? So myself, Kaviraj, I lead the development office at IIT Madras as a CEO. As you would know, IIT is known for the education part of it. It's ranked #1 in India for the last 7 years consecutively in engineering area by NIRF. So we focus mostly on skilling and skill development and expertise area, right? But before getting to that, I will quickly talk 3 or 4 things that's really defining the landscape of solar in India and how that is relevant for the play that we are acting out. So if you look at some of those things, one, clearly there is a lot of thrust on localization of component manufacturing and other things, right? Due to various reasons, like the overall cost structure works better, carbon footprint reduction, it's much better than importing and all of that. So one is localization of the component. Second could be like, new materials, perovskites and other things, for example, for solar panels. So there's a lot of work around R&D part that's coming in terms of technology and other things. Third is cost reduction on the component part, which is again a very important success factor for the solar revolution to take place in India, right? So it could be in terms of increasing the efficiency or achieving the scales of economy or new manufacturing processes or any of that. Another thing could be like energy storage, which is again a very critical success factor, because unless you have hybrid mode, like most of the time because of the intermittency and variations and all of those things, unless you have storage systems in place, and that's an area, solar is really not going to take place, and that's an area an academic institution can work very well. At another area could be in terms of awareness creation and grid integration and net metering is another very important area, right? So this is another place where a lot of systems have to be developed. So the reason I am defined all these things are that all the trends that kind of define the state of the industry in solar are all related to, are all relevant areas which are relevant for an educational institution like IIT. Right, in terms of working on R&D and research projects. So we have an energy consortium, which is the first energy consortium amongst universities in India. Under that, there are different slivers of work, which include obviously things like your green hydrogen, green ammonia, carbon sequestration technologies also, and there is a sizable part of work happening in solar and renewable area. I'll talk more on that later. So clearly R&D area, skill development, one of the key challenges to proliferation of solar technologies in India is lack of skill, the required skill sets. That's another area where IITs can significantly add value. I'll come back to all these points in more detail as we move forward.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, you cover the importance of the storage. Once the renewable energy comes, then you need a storage, to supply the constant and the efficient power anywhere, any applications, in rural applications or any industry applications. I will come to Rakesh ji. You can just tell about your Philips initiatives, and we can go to the next, like another more detail into the projects.
Thanks, Rupesh. So first of all, I represent Signify Innovations. Hi, it's audible, right? So I represent Signify Innovations India Limited. It's a relatively new name for everyone, but earlier known as Philips Lighting. So we are the second largest source of lighting after sun in this planet Earth. And recently, since 5 years back, the company name is changed, but Philips is one of the major brands. So in all our product, you will find Philips. Apart from Philips, we have 30 plus brands. So we are a lighting company. And whenever you see any sort of lighting, when you go to India Gate, New Parliament Building, Rashtrapati Bhavan, India Gate, Atal Bridge, Tunnel, everywhere you go. So this, the sort of lighting which we do, we are definitely creating and making lighting landscape very innovative and beautiful. And I would say lighting is a beautiful language to connect. Okay, so this is a brief about the organization. And though we are a lighting organization, so I represent CSR. And our programs, in all our programs, the lighting is a core element when we say lighting and energy. So precisely 4 major programs which we support in India through a lot of implementing partners, those who are the Section 8 or the non-profit organization. With them, we as a work and we fund them. School lighting is one of the programs which we support. We call it in a Jagmag Pathshala. So we have created some beautiful names for the program to connect with the people. Har Gaon Roshan, which is a village lighting program. Third program is Khel Jyoti, because we are a young nation, like 140. So Khel Jyoti is a playground lighting initiative, which as a lighting industry, we are the only organization who is supporting this initiative. And the fourth program is a Swasthya Kiran, which is a health center lighting program in the rural part of India. So these are the 4 major programs which we do. Apart from this, there is another program which we support, which is the Ujjwal Jeevan, which is a skill training program. But for some time we have stopped that program, but hopefully we will revive it soon. So this is a brief about, we will definitely discuss more in coming time, but this is a brief about the organization Signify. Thank you.
Thanks, Rakesh ji, touching upon the basic energy access, how important it is. in rural India. We talk about grid has been reached every corner of the country, but the reliability is always the challenge. So in that, how the Rakesh was mentioning, the light is good channel to connect. जब घर में रोशनी हो सो औरत घर में खाना बना पाती है, बच्चे पढ़ पाते हैं. So it's really play major role in rural context, basic energy access and specifically lighting. Yeah, thanks Rakesh ji. I will come to Jamal ji. You can just share about current landscape of energy in India and how the technology plays a major role in it. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I will highlight that through an example of something we've done.
Yeah.
I think it will be more relevant. So, if you see the state of the infrastructure, I mean, if you see the electricity supply, obviously the infrastructure has reached, the government data says, greater than 95%, some say even 99% electrified. So in terms of infrastructure, that's absolutely true. I think we've made fantastic progress there. And thanks to all the initiatives from the governments and all other stakeholders, this has become a reality. Now, the second part of the challenge is the availability. So this is something that is really causing a lot of stress, I would say, within a certain set of communities or livelihoods. Agriculture is one of them. And this is an area where we have been very active. We work with several stakeholders, some partners as well, implementing NGOs, where we have supplied over 600 water irrigation solutions. So this is basically surface water. So we do lift irrigation. The solutions are extremely simple in the sense that there is a solar drive. That's something that we do. I mean, we even use these platforms on the industrial automation side of our business, but we've adapted it for this type of a use. So the solution is quite simple. You have a solar panel, you have the solar drive, and that thing is powering the motor itself. Okay, so in terms of architecture, it's very simple. This is what we've done. Now, how this goes to impact the community is something that is really phenomenal. So starting from the, I would say, food security. Earlier, it was probably restricted to 1 or 2 crops. Now they're able to expand. They go into 3 crops. They're doing cash crops, vegetables, different types of things. And with the help of NGOs like probably Pradhan, which are FPO, they have a lot of initiatives in that place. We are able to really go into that phase where, the impact is probably right down to that level. So this is one. The other thing is, I would say, women empowerment. Yesterday we were in I was attending one of these sessions where somebody was pointing out that, when you see an image of a farmer in any communication poster or something, it's generally a man with a pagadi. But that is really changing because now it's probably led by women. I have visited some of these places in Jharkhand where, the ladies, the group they form for self-help groups, which are also, they drive the entire agriculture, the full cycle of it, including how they go to the marketplace, the supply chains, everything is, managed by them. The money is reaching their banks, and honestly, the impact that has is phenomenal. So this is another place. So all this type of thing is, is enabled. The other thing it does is that it allows local jobs to be created, what we are calling green jobs in this context, right? So basically, we are actually taking one member of the community, in this case, it's also a woman, who is, she has the keys and she's operating the solar drive, making sure the panels are kept clean and things like that. And some of these groups are paying a usage fee. Okay, so this usage fee is collected, and this is what is providing the corpus that is needed to make sure that the system is kept up and running, and the person who's maintaining also sees some sort of a financial benefit. So this is something that we have already done. It is working extremely well. And the good part about this is that we are monitoring all these sites remotely. So I'm based in Bangalore, and our team which is monitoring this is also based in Bangalore. So we are sitting down in Bangalore, and actually we are able to see which site, how many hours this is running and things like that. So thanks to that, now we are able to try and understand how we can utilize this infrastructure. Maybe we add storage, like Kaviraj was saying, we add storage and we utilize energy for something else. Maybe you start bringing in the atta chakki or the, the rice mill or something like that, and you go into that area as well. So these are the types of things that are possible. The impact to the community is multifold. The income, food security, everything changes. And honestly, this is, I think, this is what we have seen.
Yeah, thank you, Jamalji. I will again continue with the question with you, because it's interlinked to what you are sharing. I just wanted to ask you how the stakeholder how the stakeholder plays important role in this kind of project in rural context. If you can just share the example or from your experience.
Certainly. So I think that the stakeholders are few. One, of course, the most obvious one is the funder, right? So when the funder is bringing in the grant, they need to understand that their money is being put to good use and not one time. Okay, you don't want to install 600 pumps and have a graveyard of pumps. You need to be able to make sure that these are giving you returns and benefits over a period of time. So this is one. The market linkage is important. For example, I said Pradhan, so they've been here as well. So they are somebody we work with very closely. They are very well connected to the ground. They know what the situation is. The FPO, the after harvest cycle is also done. So it's very important to have those people on board. You need innovative financing models. I think this is something that we've heard as a theme in many sessions and different discussions across the last 2 days. So this is again something that's extremely important. And then you have a very important role of the skilling community, right? Somebody needs to skill these people. The lady, for example, I was going to, she had the key to the panel. So I told her, Didi, wo key dijiye. She refused to give me the key. She said, no, you cannot open this. You cannot. It's dangerous for you. So something as simple as that. But you see the commitment, the people pick up these things. I think we have great talent there. They just need to be exposed. They need to be given the right level of training. And I think we will see a sea change. So these are the typical stakeholders we have. And then you have the role of technology. Like I was saying, I mean, sitting in Bangalore, I can tell you how many of the 600 pumps are underutilized. So maybe it gives you a very different insight as to where the funds should go. So things like these are extremely critical. And I think these are the multiple stakeholders. And of course, you have the end user community, which is ultimately what we're doing it all for. And when you see those things happening, I'm sure that triggers another cycle of initiatives and ideas that can be thought of once we get to, the first challenging point.
Yeah, thank you. How we understand, how the ecosystem is also important. Stakeholders plays a major role to make this more successful and more impactful in the rural context, in rural area.
Yeah, just to add, just to add one very quick point on the technology.
Yeah.
You need to have the right, I would say, sense and experience, obviously, to sort of give the right architecture. Because we have also seen in the field solar pumping done with storage solutions and inverters and things like that. So stuff like this is possible technically, yes, but it costs a lot more money, and therefore it's far harder to scale. Whereas newer technologies now are able to, simplify dramatically. So stuff like this is also important. So designing the system, so not only the project and the implementation, but exactly what are you going to go into the market with? What is your solution? What is your proposal to solve the issue? I think technology and the people who understand technology are as critical as anything else.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's what I was sharing. The ecosystem is how ecosystem is important. You have a technology, you need to have a right financial model, and somebody is doing some business in local areas, so it need to have a proper backward and forward linkages. Then only it's gonna help to the end user in the villages. I will come to the Rakesh ji and So you are working in livelihood, health, and education. Uh, Somebody might have a myth how it's gonna help. No, energy how gonna help in the education. So we might know in a lot of rural areas there is a grid connection in the school, but it's not working. So students doesn't get any no facilities on basic access. Like in the daytime, there might not need be the of light, but in a in this modern world or modern, we heard about a lot of modern schools. They have okay digital board, they have some digital TV, they have a pad, or there might be the need of basic need of a fan. So I just gonna ask Rakesh ji how technology is helping to become a no become it more sustainable solution, touching upon livelihood, health, and education.
Sure. Thanks, Rupesh. So first of all, I will come to the point which you have mentioned, the infrastructure. So Jamal ji has told, like, if you talk about the grid infrastructure, so we have actually, as a country, we have improved. So I will give you from my example, when I was working in 2012 or 13 in the rural Sundarban part of India, we were setting up the microgrid, solar microgrid in that location. But after 2016, what we saw, that's on a very challenging, I don't know how many of you visited that place, but it is on a complete island, almost 120, 150 kilometers far from mainland. Taking electricity to that region was a difficult and a tedious task for everyone. But the government initiative has took such a step, and from my experience, I can proudly say that the electricity, the grid supply is actually reached to each and every corner of India. So there is a significant improvement. But after infrastructure, there is another challenge, is providing electricity to each and every household. Okay, so when we talk about the village electrified, so the certain criteria government has set, like 10% of the population of the households, if they got the electricity, it is electrified. They can declare it in electrified villages. But providing electricity connection to each and every household, it is still happening on a big pace. Like government is running a lot of schemes like Saubhagya and other things they are providing. There are certain section of society where taking grid electricity is still a challenge. Could be a wildlife sanctuary or a national park, the hamlets or the small establishment which are living inside that region is still a challenge. A lot of there could be a disturbance in the human-wildlife conflict or something. Okay, for that government has taken a lot of initiative where they are putting renewable energy solution through different schemes. So this is one very important part which I just want to mention here. So I'm coming to the point which Rupesh was asking, how the technology plays and how we create a program. So just giving an example from the healthcare part first, the program Swasthya Kiran. So this is a new entrant in our portfolio, which we have started in 2021. Post-COVID, we have started this program. We saw a lot of report. There was a report from CEW, what we found. In lot of, there are some reports says there are a lot of states which are not doing good on the energy indicators. Okay, so we have identified those states. We do a stakeholder mapping discussion with the district administration, health state department, and understand the PSCs where we have set up certain criteria, which is coming to the point with the stakeholder management. Okay, so when we do a project, when we talk about the renewable energy project and the microgrid, so it's in a cost. If there's a cost involved, definitely like 5-6 lakh rupees for a PSCs we need to invest. So where we are investing, this is an important part. For that, we do a stakeholder mapping. So we do on a proper reporting, like when we talk about the PSCs. So if you see, the government has set a certain targets for the health indicators, like reducing the mother mortality rate, infant mortality rate, and electricity play a very crucial role in this. How the people have enough faith in that health infrastructure if there is no proper electricity supply. So n number of things are linked with the electricity, because we are living in the urban part of India, we don't understand because we go to Medanta and Artemis. But the rural population, if they get sick, they go to the primary health center and the community health center. If mother is expecting and the due date is coming, they will go to the primary health center for the delivery. There are a lot of schemes are going for reducing ASHA workers. You guys are aware about this. So electricity play an important role. So we have created a program called Swasthya Kiran. The idea of this program is to ensure that the primary health center or the community health center should get uninterrupted electricity, okay, during the operational hour and post-operational hours, because the delivery cases are, there is no time boundation for the delivery cases. You can imagine a situation where a mother is on a bed for the delivery and the power cuts. We see generally in the newspaper, on the news we saw while the delivery power cut. So to address this issue, we have created a program. So we have consulted with a lot of doctors and healthcare staff, and we have identified the key areas. When we talk about the health centers, it's a big setup. It's not possible for us and for Jamal ji, okay, to put an infrastructure which will completely electrify all the PSC, because it's a cost-intensive things. So what we did, we do on a consolidation meeting with the district health department or the doctors, a lot of NGOs who are working in the healthcare spaces, and we have identified the key areas and where electricity is most important and they needed it by any chance. Like the doctor room, maternity care room. In the maternity care room, there are 2-3 devices which is a life-saving devices, like a baby radiant warmer, refrigeration for storage of vaccine, a waiting area, because generally patients come with 2-3 people, so they also get in a conducive environment. You can imagine in the summer, there's no fan operational and they are sitting, okay. As well as outdoor lighting, because accessing this health center after dark is itself a challenge. So we have identified 5-6 key areas in the PSCs and CSCs, and we have designed a product or the solution for that. And we have used and leveraged the technology also, which Jamalji was, actually I took help from Schneider team for designing this system. Okay. So post installation, what we did, we do an assessment, like we have like 10 or 15 health centers. Just giving an example, we have put a similar sort of system. And what we do after a remote monitoring system, what we identify which PSCs is utilizing system or not. And which PSCs are utilizing it more, which is utilizing it less, and how we can use technology to enhance the efficiency of that system. So this thing which actually helped through technology, stakeholder mapping, okay. As one important part, the selection of right NGO for the execution of that project. Because when we do the project, we generally do it in a rural part of India. And taking in an NGO from the urban setup, they will come for a one-time project, they will do the project and they will come back, go back from that. So who will take care of the system? So we ensure that we will engage with the local NGOs or maybe the NGOs who is working in that territory, because it's easier and cheaper for them to visit that facility quite often compared to the any other organization who is coming from far. So this is one thing which we took under that. And the lot of learnings are there, which I will come into the later part, okay. But this is one part which we generally do for our all projects. Similarly, when we talk about the education, so sports and student health is also linked with the education part. So the sports lighting program which we have created, which I mentioned is a unique initiative. So why we created this program? So there are certain reports says like if you talk about India, only 1% of CSR funding is going into the development of promotion of sports. And we expect that we will get a lot of medals. So that's not possible for us also. So for that also we have actually worked first again the NGO selection. So we are identifying, still in the process. So till now we have eliminated around 150 playgrounds. This is a very unique program where we partner with those organizations who is having a credible track record in the promotion of sports. Okay. And then we partnered with them. We understand their requirement because our solution is the lighting part and the energy. But apart from this, there are other things are required to develop that ecosystem. Though we are not having that expertise in that area, but still we take sometimes take help from other organizations. So again, the stakeholder mapping and giving a right solution. Again, there isn't a failure in this also, I would say, because it's I would not say a failure, but a learning for us, because when we talk about sports lighting, it's a high lumen lights are required for a sport. Just giving an example of a badminton. So you need proper lighting because for the sports, the muscles memory develop, the maximum you practice, the muscles memory will develop. To develop that muscle memory, you need a proper lighting, otherwise it will strain your eye. Okay. So initially we did a project in rural part of Mewan where we have eliminated around 18 badminton courts, and we have come with a renewable energy solution as a power backup. But what we found after doing the project, initially it was good, but gradually, like 3-4 months, 6 months, the backup was completely reduced. Okay. So this was learning for us also, because when we do project and we use such high lumen, so the selection of the right technology is important for us, and how we can use technology to make that system sustainable is also important, that we missed in that part. Okay. So I think I took a lot of time. I will restrain myself.
Okay, no problem, Rakesh. Thanks for educating us. Know how the energy is helping in health, education, in specifically in development sector. Thanks for this. I think we have just left 10 minutes, and we can just catch up after this session if anybody has, or anybody want to know more details on it. I will come to Kaviraj ji, like how the Rakesh ji was sharing or Jamal ji was sharing, how the academias can play or contribute for this energy sector. Just briefly in a minute or two.
So I'll talk about IIT. So I'll just talk about the high level, some of the numbers to show the enormity of the problem, right? Right now we have about 410 plus gigawatt of energy installed capacity, of which about 160 gigawatt is about renewables, right? And solar is about 71 gigawatt plus as on August and all of those things. And this is supposed to expected to go up to 800 gigawatt total installed capacity by 2030. So right now itself 40% installed capacity is renewable, but it's another matter that they are not fully functional all the time because of the intermittency and all of those areas, right? I'm talking only in terms of installed capacity. And installed capacity of renewable is expected to be 500 gigawatt. That's almost like 63% of the 63% of the total installed capacity. So there's a huge growth that is expected. That's almost like 50 gigawatt every year has to increase. Right? I mean, in 2004-05, when I was actually heading strategy for Tata Power, we were looking at, increasing the renewable by a few megawatts here and there. And it's great to see solar itself in Tata Power is close to 3,000 megawatt right now, right? I mean, so is Adani Green Energy, so is Azure and Renew Energy and all of that. So what I'm trying to say is that the sector per se has gone tremendously, way beyond. That's the way many things in India has developed, be it internet or digital or telecom or any of that. We have it's an accelerated path as opposed to how many of the Western countries have done, maybe because of the need of the hour or whatever it is. And if you look at solar per se, there are multiple compulsions that's coming in. One is from the top-driven area, the target set this way. Second is the pure business area, like, the 12 rupees per unit used to be the cost, and now that has come down to almost 3 rupees, and even if you include all the other, landed cost and all of those things, loaded cost and all of that, it still comes to about 8 rupees per unit, and that works out far better from a business perspective, right? So there is a business imperative also to make this move. And the capex that's required is about 5 crore per megawatt for solar, if you look at it, right? And now, as opposed to say 8 crores for, coal-based or any of those things. Now, consider the growth in capacity that is required, from 160 to go to up to about by an increase of 350 gigawatt, and multiply per megawatt the cost is about, capex is about, 6 crores or 5 crores, whatever. And so this much is the investment that's required. Hence, any investment in R&D or any technology that can actually bring down the cost of capital, the capex actually, even by a few percentage, can result in a huge impact in the sector. So that's one area where investment in R&D by universities like ours become very important. Second is the job creation aspect. So far, if you look at the jobs that's created, about 11-12 lakhs of jobs have been created in solar areas. A large part of it is in construction and commissioning, and then of course operating an O&M cost, operation and maintenance cost and all of those things. So there's a lot of jobs associated. So link it back to the enormity of the challenge that we have and the 350 gigawatt more of, and solar is expected to grow to up to 280 gigawatt in that 500. So which is currently at 70, and so expected to grow to 210 gigawatt into 4 times. So consider the number of jobs that's required, the skill sets that's required. Again, an organization like IIT Madras can play a significant role in that, right? So now how do we do this? We have online and offline courses, right? So we have a technology enhanced platform called NPTEL, National Program on Technology Enhanced Learning, where a lot of online courses are done. last year we also launched, I mean, our BSc online program was successful, and following the footsteps, we also launched a proper BS program in electronic systems by IIT Madras, where we actually give a certificate at the end of the year, an IIT Madras at the end of the 4-year program. The point is, we have actually started teaching engineering in a hybrid mode rather than just an on-campus mode, right? Where you have both do-it-yourself kits, online components, and they will spend so many hours in the university, in the labs and all of this. So those kind of models are coming up. It is very possible to deal with a problem of this type. You will have to actually do several, so who knows, we might actually come up with several courses which are in hybrid modes, which are in online modes, or any of those things which will actually enhance the skill development part of it. So these are clearly 2 areas where I see, and IIT Madras's philosophy on the R&D currently is on 3 areas. One is developing DC systems, solar power is DC, and so a lot of the equipments are on DC power these days. So there's a group of faculty members who are working on those DC related areas. Another faculty members who are working on essentially, you know, the thermal battery and all of that, which will kind of store the thermal energy, which will be then used in buildings and all of that. A third group of researchers who are working is essentially on integrated energy systems, IES, which essentially looks at all these other applications. So you cannot actually confine it to just one application. It can be like, you know, solar heating, for cooking, for boiling water, for solar pumps, for drying, you know, agricultural and animal products, or any of those things, like, right? So we spoke about all those. So integrate all those. So there are several faculty members who work on how to actually develop integrated energy systems, which will kind of leverage or in all these areas. And hence, there is an additional motivation. Now there are many areas through which people can use the solar energy, right? And hence there is an additional motivation, a natural reason for people to actually adopt it, right? So creating awareness, creating technologies R&D, creating skills and you know, skilled talent, which will kind of help build these areas, which will again have a huge impact on the cost savings and other things. These are areas where IIT Madras can play a significant role in this whole industry.
Yeah, thank you, Kaviraj. I will just take a last things, and then we can open the floor for audience. Jamalji, like you can just share us on investment model that make a solar energy accessible to the communities, or you can say how it would be the affordable to the communities.
Yeah, certainly I can share my experience. I'm really not the expert on the financial side, but I can share our experience here. So basically, as it is with any investment or any solution, there is a capex part and there's an opex part, right? Yeah. So the capex part, I think there are lots of models that are available. You have microfinance, and depending on what type of solution you're looking at, you have all those options. So honestly, I somehow feel capex is not the biggest problem. I'm not saying it's not a problem, but it's not the biggest problem. So while there's a lot of focus being given on the capex side of this, where I feel, and by looking at many sites that we visited, the problem is mainly with the opex. Because you make the installation, you train the people, you do all these things and you put them there, but then there's nobody to sort of, come back and make sure that the system is running year after year. So I feel there's a lot of need for innovation around the OPEX model, the ability to create contained groups or user groups where they pay for the services. All this needs to be done. And honestly, for that model to work, they have to be satisfied with the service. So soon enough, you will see shades of not so rural types of situations, because you're talking about customer satisfaction, you're talking about all these things. But I'm not trying to sort of detract here, but honestly, for all this to happen, the people need to be available to deliver the services, to make sure it's up and running. Just imagine if you're a farmer who's paying 150, 200 rupees a month to make sure that the pump is running or something like that, and then when you go switch it on, something is not working. They are never going to come back. Okay? So these things are extremely critical. So what we do when we deploy the solution is equally important. CapEx sourcing, old problem, not solved as yet, but definitely there are a lot of eyeballs on it. So I'm sure that there will be something that will come out eventually. But the OPEX is a real-time problem, and unless that is solved, I think the cycle is broken, and we will always come back to a point where you will need more CapEx because the system has not delivered. and it has failed because of an OPEX model, but then you need more money, good money to chase the whole thing and bring things back on track. So it's a vicious cycle, and this is my experience. So there are many ideas even on the OPEX side, which I'm sure the community here is far more exposed to it than I am. But honestly, I think that's the need of the hour. That's my feeling on this.
Yeah, thanks, Jamalji. And that's how the CSR also plays a major role. Some of the projects, how the Rakesh was mentioning, some of the we have to that subsidize that the delta cost. Some of the contribution will come from the partner or from the end user to make that more affordable to the community. So even though we were just discussing, it would be not free for the community, but subsidizing that part, so it will be more affordable to the end user. Yeah, thanks for this nice discussion. I think it is wonderful covering about livelihood, health and education, and how it is impacting in our rural India. We can just have a chat later on after this session if anybody want to need any more details or want to know about any projects from Rakeshji or Jamalji and the Kaviraji. We can just have one or two more questions from the audience.
I have two questions. One is for Kaviraj sir and then other is for the... So Kaviraj sir, we are all talking about the technology, but what is the scope for the solar dryers, considering India being an agro-based economy? And second is for both the Schneider and the Philips people is, how are we building capacities or the awareness on the e-waste part? Because it has all the components that will be... So how is our vision for developing those capacities also?
I think certainly, as I mentioned, there are several of this in any of the integrated energy systems. You are looking at all these applications: solar cooking, solar for water heating, and dryer is, of course, solar drying of agri and animal products is definitely an area that will, especially as it's a key requirement, right? So it will develop. So I see that as a key component in the whole development, especially in furthering the penetration in the rural area, so clearly.
E-waste part which you have mentioned, yeah, definitely is a pressing issue. So as an organization, what we are doing, I just can give a brief about. So we understand this is a very current issue, and definitely the landfill size are actually increasing day by day. So as an organization, what we do, we have actually started a new set of a business called 3D printing luminaires, where we are creating luminaires, means light through the waste material. This is an initiative which we have taken as an organization. So we are a carbon neutral, 100% carbon neutral company. Okay. Apart from this, we are doing on a model where we are collecting from our main core business, which is the LED lighting. So we are collecting the faulty or the which need replacement from the partners, and we are recycling it. So we are reducing that 0% waste to landfill, the target which we have committed, which we achieve. So this is two initiatives which we are doing. Sir, want to add something?
No, just very quickly. I think the question of circular economy is the larger one. The e-waste is obviously a subset of that. I think it's also important when you're going out there with the technology, you're probably putting in some gateways for communication. You're doing many different things. You're putting in batteries, which eventually will need to be recycled. So I think the stakeholder who is bringing in all this, it's very important for them to have the right processes at their end. At the end of the day, let's not forget we are going into a rural area, so you're not going to be in an environment where collecting this is going to be easy. So that you need to have, and that is where the model where all this is to be thought of. And otherwise, it's just you're going to create a different problem. Today, we don't have an e-waste problem in the rural area, not as much as it will be in the future. But if it's not handled correctly, you could be staring at something which is significant. So the people who are, designing this, not only at the product level, there are many things you can do at the product level. I can tell you from my experience that there are many companies everyone's chasing net zero on their product, right? So they are trying to do this. It will happen. It's a journey we are on right now. So I'm fairly confident we'll get there eventually. But finally, when you're saying e-waste, I would extend that discussion even to probably a carbon footprint. how are we getting everything there? What are the supply chains? What are we doing to maintain and, reduce all those things? So it's a larger problem, but specific to e-waste, I think the companies who are delivering the goods need to have this. This is a matter of policy and things like the regulation, but I think that's probably the answer eventually.
I think we are just running short of time.
Add here, like one initiative also which we have taken, like plastic-free packaging is the initiative. As an organization, we have taken because we are selling millions of LED bulbs, baton, and all these things. So we are not using any sort of plastic packaging material. So we are using paper or maybe the recycled material we are using. Just to add here, not related to that part, but still important.
It's very important also. Thank you. Just last questions from the from there. Yeah,
I think
you can just stand and just quickly you can.
Sunshine, where we have been using basically the support of CSR to develop solar solutions. My question was more of a concern in terms of, I think the sustainability of the project has always been the concern, because our other stakeholders like the government schools or the other educational institutes, we haven't got the desired response. So just wanted to know how has been your experience and if you can share some best practices.
Sure. Thank you. Just to add, because sport is one of the topics which is very close to my heart and I am deeply involved in this program. So I'll just give you basic example how we are making a rural ground sustainable. So we have partnered with one organization called Brahmaputra Volleyball League. Might be you are aware or not, but it is one of the largest grassroots volleyball development program in India, recognized by the Volleyball Federation as well as the Olympic Committee. So what we did, we have provided lighting support. Okay, we know that after 1 year or 2 years, or they need some electricity sort of recurring expenses they need to bear, being in the rural part of India. So that the community players have taken an initiative. They have started organizing night matches. For that night matches, they are charging 500 or 600 rupees per team. Like if 6 team or 7 team or 10 teams are coming and competing, so they are generating money. You can calculate like 3,000 or 5,000. Electricity bill comes roughly around 2,000 per month. So they have maintained the electricity bill. So some small basic, because we don't need a big innovative solution for all the problems. Sometimes the community member take itself some sort of a small initiative to maintain. So that Brahmaputra Volleyball League, so they are now regularly organizing night matches. They are earning money. They are using that money for paying the electricity bill, and even they have started providing a scholarship to the athletes who are regularly coming. This is just one example, very grassroots example. Might be you are from the rural background, definitely you can understand. So this is just a point I want to add.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, we'll I think stop here. We can just catch up after this session if anybody has any questions. So we're just running out of time. Thanks. Just have a good round of applause for the speakers.